Okay, so we're almost at the very end of this strip. So I'm just going to finish this up and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now this is the very end, and all you're going to do is just take your scissors and cut. Now someone asked me, what if they had theirs twisted? Well, then you would just cut the whole thing across and it would be fine. So now we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to take this end, we're going to find the other end, and we're going to put them together and then sew them. So I'll find the other end and then restart the camera. Okay, so I've got the very end of that one, and now I've found the other end, and so I'm just going to place these together, line them up, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to sew down this right side with a 1/4 inch seam. So I'm just going to start it and then back stitch. Now I want to sew far enough down so that you can see what happens when we get to a seam. Again, as this layer gets thicker, you'll have to check it more often to make sure that your fabric's lined up. I am keeping the needle down. I don't know if you can see that. It just keeps the fabric in place so that it can't shift. Okay, I finally see a seam. Okay, so right here is a seam, and I just want to make sure that I sew that flat down. And that's it. Okay, so then I'm going to finish this strip up, and I'm going to do the exact same thing when I get to the end. So when I get right to the end, I will pick up the filming again. Okay? Okay, so we're almost at the end again, and I'm just going to sew a little bit further till we get to the end and show you the next step. I do stop often to make sure that everything is straight. Okay, so now that I've got this end, all I'm going to do is take my scissors and cut straight across. Now someone asked me after my first Jelly Roll quilt video how many times do you turn this? And my answer was, well, you'll know when you're done. But technically, this was our second time that we've turned it. So I've got myself a little check sheet here. So that's 2 times. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this end, find our other end, and put them right sides together and sew down the right hand side again. And you're going to do this until you get to the end. And like I said, you're going to know when you're done, because as you continue on, this becomes much thicker and more difficult to work with. It's not hard, but it's a lot of fabric on your sewing machine. So I think I don't even have to stop the camera. I can get to the end pretty quickly and show you the start of this next one. This is the point where I usually say, okay, I'm going to finish this quilt now. I don't have any reason to wait. Sometimes it ends up about 10 o'clock at night, and I'll be like, oh, but I'm almost done. I can't stop. Okay, so placing them right sides together. Now, as it gets thicker, you're also going to have more seams to deal with. And I like to flatten them on the front side and the back side. So let's see if we can find a back side. So I'm placing it on here. Okay. I try to pull it to set in my lap, because you don't want this pulling as you're sewing. Okay, so here's a seam on the top, so I'm just going to make sure that's flat. Oh, I did have somebody ask me, have I ever sewed my finger? Not yet. I'm sure I will one day. I've definitely poked myself with many a pins, but so far not the sewing needle, but I suspect it will happen. Okay, so underneath here, here's a seam. You can see it's already laying flat, so that's good. I just want to make sure that when I sew it, that it stays flat. So I just keep my finger or my hand on there, and then that ensures that it stays flat. Okay, so I'm going to actually stop the video now, and when I get to the very end, I will show you the next step. Okay, so we're almost at the end again. So let me get the rest of this going, and then I'll show you the turn. Okay, there's a seam there underneath, so I want to make sure I keep that flat. Okay, so this is the end, and just like the others, just going to take the scissors and cut straight across. Okay, so now here's this end. I'm going to write this down that this was turn number 3, so we're keeping track. And then I'm going to take this end, find the other end, and place them together and repeat again. Now you can see why you can make these quilts really fast. So here's my other end, placing them right sides together. And I'm going to sew down that right hand side with a 1/4 inch seam. Now, I think one of the things I have forgotten to mention is that I do have a Facebook group for these quilt-alongs so that people can ask questions. So if you have not joined that Facebook group, you're welcome to. You can find it on my personal site, which is really where I post all of my quilting stuff. My Chicken Scratch blog is mainly for paper crafting, and then I put all my personal and quilting stuff over on angiejudah.com. And the link to the Facebook group for the quilt-along is there. We had the double slice layer cake quilt-along a couple months ago. And now this month, the Jelly Roll Race. I am working on the next one, but what I have to do is I have to make one or two first to make sure I can teach you, because fabric is not cheap, and I want to make sure that when I show you how to make something, that it's accurate 100%. So I don't want to make any mistakes. So I make a couple of them before I teach them, so that way I know you're going to be able to make one yourself. Okay, so I'm going to pause the camera and get to the end. Okay, so I am here at the end again. Okay, same as last time. We're going to cut straight across. And you do want to make sure, I know you can't see all of this because my camera view is not that large, but here's the right side, here's the left side. So I'm just going to start down here. And again, it would be a whole lot easier if I had this on a table. I don't even have a clear table right now. I don't know about you guys, but during Christmas, every surface I have in my house is either covered with wrapping paper or Christmas cards or something, or Christmas cards I've received. Okay. Oh, and let's mark that. You know, instead of calling this turns, I should just call it cuts. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5 cuts, not turns, that we made. And I think we are done. Let's see. Yes, we are. So if I get my tape measure, it's going to measure 53 by 63. Now we're going to have another video, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I iron and press the seams, and how I measure for the backing fabric and the binding fabric. I've already given you that measurement, but for the new people that's watching, I want to show you all the steps. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.